So now, we're going to start with a simple problem, so simple that it seems Venn diagrams and the strategy is complete overkill, completely unnecessary. But soon when we get to the bigger questions, then it's not as obvious, and I need the Venn diagram to help me keep track of what I'm doing. So we almost always start with a very simple problem that we can verify without this method, but trying to build a method that will help us in the future. So let's read exercise 5.3. Jack and Jill have 10 school projects to do. Jack is involved in 5 of the projects, and they do 3 projects together. How many projects is Jill involved in? You don't need Venn diagrams because there are so few factors involved that guess and check would even work. But I'm thinking long term, and when things get more complicated, I need a method to rely on. I'm just gonna do this one, then list the steps, and then do the next one. That'll make more sense. Okay, so I'm going to represent the situation with a Venn diagram. And I notice that there are school projects in the question. Those are the things that I'm counting, the elements, if you will. So in my rectangle are all 10 school projects. There are 10 school projects. Now, I'm going to make a circle for the school projects that Jack is involved in. I'll call it A, because not conveniently, both names start with J. So I'm going to say let A represent the set of projects that Jack is involved in or with or whatever. So some projects he's working on, some projects he's not working on. Then I also have projects that Jill is involved in. Let's put that over there and call it a B. And I'm going to squeeze it in here. Let B represent the set of projects that Jill is involved in. I know, again, this is overkill for this question because it isn't the most complicated one. But I'm trying to set myself up for success when it does get more complicated. Now, what do I know? What do we know? I'll do it on the side first. I know that Jack and Jill have 10 school projects to do. So that means if I throw all their projects together, I get 10. I'm not going to write this 10 in the Venn diagram, because if I put the 10 over there, later on I might get confused what that 10 represents, because it's consisting of multiple regions, right? So I don't want to confuse myself, so I write it on the side. Then Jack is involved in 5 of the projects. Well, that's exactly what we called A, and that's 5. As a rule, I'm also not going to write the 5 over there. Because then later on, let's pretend this is more complicated. Later on, I loop back and I look at my Venn diagram, and now I'm not sure. Is this the whole A circle? Is it just this section? Don't know. So I write it on the side for safety. And then they do 3 projects together. That means projects that Jack is involved in and Jill together will be 3. Does that 3 correspond to a single region? It's the middle. So I'm going to write that in. Now, can I fill in the number for another single region? Question mark. What can I fill in? I know the whole A circle is 5 in total. Some part of it's a 3, so this part of it's a 2. Can I go further? The whole A and B circles together, the union, total 10. I have 2 of the 3 regions that make it up, which means the third region has to be 5. And now I check the question. How many projects is Jill involved in? That would be B, the number of elements in B. And it is 3 plus 5, we equals 8. And I can have a little concluding sentence. It's always a nice idea. Jill is involved in 8 projects. Now, I'm not saying you had to do this to get the answer of 8. Probably not. But I'm coming up with something that I can rely on that guides me through all the detailed information when things do get complicated. Any questions on how we get the 8? Too easy? Easy is good. Sometimes there should be something good. Now, before we do the next one, I will list the steps that I would take when things get a little more complicated. Actually, every time, because the quiz question is going to say use Venn diagrams. So then I don't really have a choice. Steps. Step 1. Give names to your sets. If I'm going to put circles in a Venn diagram, I need to keep track of which one is which. For the sake of clarity for whoever reads it, and for myself to keep track of what goes where. So that is the first step. Step 2, make the Venn diagram. So there I want to know, do I have 2 sets in this situation? Do I have more sets? How many circles do I need to put in my Venn diagram? Because I don't want to have more than I need. I don't want to make it more complicated. So sometimes 2, sometimes 3, it depends. Then I will, let's say, include as much information as possible in the Venn diagram. I want to get it out of the paragraph, and if you scan over the problem questions, you'll see some of them are quite long and wordy. I want to get the information out so I can see what I have to work with, see the numbers, and not have them mixed up with words and run the risk of them getting lost, perhaps. Now there's a little extra safety rule here. That's my personal preference. You don't have to do it. Safety is only, let's say, put in a number in the Venn diagram if it represents a single region. There are 3 kinds of people, as a side note. There are three kinds of people in the world. There are foolish people that would walk repeatedly into the same wall and not stop. They just keep walking into the same wall, bumping their head. Then there are smart people who walk into the wall once and realize, no, it's not a good idea. I'm not going to do it again. Then there are wise people who see others walking into the wall and learn from their mistakes. This I've seen repeatedly. People don't follow that safety rule mistakes will happen. You don't know where, you don't know when, probably in a test. It happens all the time. But if you follow that rule, you're safe from that mistake. Just like for the Jack and Jill question, I had numbers early. I didn't put them in because they didn't correspond to a specific single region. I waited until I could do that, and then other regions revealed themselves.
Does that mean you pretty much put the intersection in first then?
But it depends what they give me. In the more straightforward ones, they'll probably give me that. I just have to wait until I can put something in. Now, if you are sitting there thinking, what do you know, safety, I live on the edge. Go right ahead, it's totally fine. And if you can remember what you did and what it represents, of course, it's totally fine. My problem is I can't remember. So then when I look at my Venn diagram, I need to know what this 2 represents so I can use it correctly. So just advice. Feel free to walk into the wall. Number 4, identify. Let's say the missing, or not missing. Let's say wanted. The wanted region or regions. They're going to ask for something like, how many projects is Jill involved in? Then I can go and say, oh, okay, I'm looking for the B circle. It consists of 2 regions. I need to find those numbers and I'm done. But I need to understand what the question is so that then I can go find those numbers. Very often for the more complicated ones, they're only giving me enough information to find what they're asking, not find just anything. So I need to know what is the question wanting me to do. And then the very vague, but I can't be more specific, number 5, find the answer. But hopefully by then, it's a little easier than it would have been without those previous steps. All right, so that's going to be my strategy.
Please remember to click the like button if you enjoyed the video, and to subscribe if you want to be notified of more videos. Thank you.